Tim was a lively little kitten who lived with his hardworking mother, Luna, and his kind but aging Grandpa Joe. They shared a small, cozy home filled with love, though it wasn't always peaceful. Luna worked tirelessly at an office to provide for the family, often leaving Grandpa Joe to look after Tim during the day. Despite Luna's best efforts to care for him, Tim was a stubborn and mischievous kitten. His endless energy and curiosity made him a handful for Grandpa Joe, who struggled to keep up with the little troublemaker. Every morning, when Luna prepared to leave for work, Tim's eyes would light up. To him, it meant hours of freedom to do as he pleased. As soon as Luna waved goodbye, Tim would begin scattering toys, knocking over furniture, and running wild through the house. Poor Grandpa Joe would spend his day chasing after him, trying to keep things under control. By the time Luna returned home, exhausted from work, she would find the house in complete disarray. Tim would hide behind the couch, his whiskers twitching with a mix of pride and mischief, while Luna sighed deeply and began tidying up the mess. "Tim," Luna would say gently, kneeling beside him, "you have to stop this. Grandpa Joe is old, and he's the only one helping me out. Be a good kitten for him, please." But Tim never listened. He'd nod absent-mindedly, but as soon as Luna turned her back, he was off again, plotting his next bit of fun. One of Tim's favorite pastimes was sneaking into the kitchen to play with the gas stove. He loved the sound of the knobs clicking as he turned them on, fascinated by the faint hiss that followed. Grandpa Joe, however, was always quick to stop him. "Tim," he'd scold, turning off the gas and lifting the kitten out of the kitchen. "This is not a toy. One day you'll cause real trouble with this nonsense." But Tim would just giggle and dash off, not understanding the danger. One fateful day, Luna left for work as usual, giving Grandpa Joe a tired but hopeful smile as she closed the door. "Take care of Tim," she said, and Grandpa Joe nodded, though his old bones ached and his heart felt weary. As soon as Luna was gone, Tim noticed Grandpa Joe lying down on the couch for a nap. Tim tiptoed into the kitchen, his tail swishing with excitement, seeing this as his chance. He climbed onto the counter and reached for the stove, turning the knobs one by one. The gas began to flow, filling the room with an invisible danger. As Tim sat there, feeling pleased with himself, a butterfly fluttered through the open kitchen window. Its colorful wings caught his attention, and in an instant, all thoughts of the stove vanished. Tim leapt down and chased the butterfly, his tiny paws skittering across the floor. The butterfly flew toward the back door, and Tim, eager to catch it, pushed the door open and dashed outside, leaving the stove on. Moments later, as Tim played in the garden, the neighbors noticed smoke billowing from the house. The gas in the kitchen had ignited, and flames quickly spread through the small home. Alarmed, the neighbors called for help, but the fire moved too fast. By the time the fire rescue squad arrived, the house was completely engulfed, and Grandpa Joe, still asleep inside, was gone. Luna was called home from work and arrived to find the remains of her home reduced to ashes. The firefighters were carrying Grandpa Joe's lifeless body out of the wreckage, and Luna's heart broke. She dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her face as she wept uncontrollably. "Why? Why did this happen?" she cried, her voice filled with anguish. She wept for her father, who had always been there to help her. She wept for the home they had lost. And she wept for Tim, who stood a few steps away, trembling with guilt and fear. Tim's little heart felt like it might burst as he watched his mother cry. For the first time, he realized the terrible consequences of his actions. He hadn't meant for anything bad to happen, he had only been playing. But now Grandpa Joe was gone, their home was destroyed, and his mother was heartbroken. He hated seeing her cry and knew deep down that it was all his fault. From that day on, Tim was a changed kitten. He stopped being stubborn and mischievous and started listening to his mother. He never played with dangerous things again, and he worked hard to make life easier for Luna. If she was tired, he'd bring her a blanket. If she was cleaning, he'd help tidy up. He wanted to make her smile again and honor the memory of Grandpa Joe, who had loved him despite all his troublemaking. Tim became known as a kind and responsible cat who always looked out for others as he grew older. Whenever he saw young kittens causing mischief, he would sit them down and tell them his story. "Don't wait until it's too late to change," he'd say gently. "Listen to your loved ones and be the best you can be. That's the greatest way to show them you care."